Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the first edition of Sports Report Express for 2026. I'm Sportscaster89 coming to you from lovely South Florida, and we are going to embark on a huge slate of Week 18 football in the National Football League. Can you guys believe it? It's the final week of the NFL regular season with so much on the line, so much at stake. I'm going to run down every matchup for every single person that's listening by the sound of my voice today. Sportscaster 89, welcome to the first edition of Sports Report Express for 2026. I hope you guys had a wonderful new year yesterday. Whatever you guys got to do, hopefully it was a healthy and safe New Year's for you guys, whatever you got to do on this New Year's yesterday. Today, we're doing our first Sports Report Express of the year in 2026. And like I said, we have big time Week 18 NFL matchups that'll determine playoff seedings, that'll determine division champions. And we get that all started with two big time Saturday NFL games doubleheader wise, starting in the NFC South. We know this much. Carolina plays at Tampa Bay. What we do know is if Carolina wins, they win the division outright. If Tampa Bay wins, they are not necessarily they don't necessarily clinch the division. They would have to get help from the Saints to beat the Falcons on Sunday in Atlanta. But for Carolina, they win, they're in. Tampa Bay loses, they're out. Their season's over. So it's win for Tampa Bay or go home at this particular junction. They have so many opportunities. So to preview this game, I'm going to give you the the much-watched storylines that everybody needs to know before you watch Buccaneers and Panthers on Saturday afternoon at 4:30 on ABC and ESPN tomorrow. So without further ado, but first, before we get into that today, let's close our eyes and bow our heads as we look into the Anointed One. Thank you, King Jesus, for this day. Thank you for allowing the Sports Report Express to be a steward as I continue to glorify others to further your kingdom. As I embark on this first episode of 2026, allow me to be a blessing to others with this episode. Let it be a spark into whatever it's been, whatever it has been for those that have been that have had a trying year in 2025. Holy Spirit, as we look into 2026, let's continue to fix our eyes on you. Let this episode continue to glorify your people. Let this episode continue to magnify you. And as I continue to lift you up in these episodes, continue to be a steward. Continue to lead me whenever I do these sports reports with excellence. In this precious name we pray. Amen. So now, here we go with the Sports Report Express for the first one of 2026. And like I said, we're going to start with Week 18 of the National Football League. Can you guys believe it? This is the last and final week of the NFL 2025 season that has been a wild season. The NFC has been wild. So, with that said, Tampa Bay takes on Carolina tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 on ABC and ESPN. Here's the significance for both these games tomorrow. After this game, you got the Seahawks and 49ers. But here is what's going to decide this matchup, and I'll tell you the storylines for this game and the 49ers and Seahawks game as well. Saturday's doubleheader will carry significant importance for the upcoming playoffs. Both games could decide two NFC division champions, with the Buccaneers and Panthers meeting in NFC South. In the second game of the Saturday slate, San Francisco will take on Seattle. You know how big this game will be between Seattle and San Francisco. The 1 seed is on the line in the NFC. The loser will drop to the 5 seed as a wild card team and has to start their playoff journey on the road. I'll say that again. San Francisco and Seattle, the second game of the doubleheader on tomorrow afternoon after Buccaneers and Panthers. This is for the number one seed in the NFC and home field advantage throughout the playoffs until Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. If San Francisco wins this one, all they would have to do is win two other playoff games because they get the bye, they get to recover because San Francisco has been the most hurt team all season long. But yet Kyle Shanahan has done it again, has found ways to get his team to win games regardless of injuries. They lost Fred Warner this year against Tampa Bay. He got hurt with an ankle injury against the Bucs when I was at that game, in late September or November it was, and San Francisco, was decimated by injury. So you gotta give Kyle Shanahan the nod for San Francisco in this situation. And also Mike McDonald for the Seattle Seahawks. You gotta give him the nod as well. Seattle in situations like this on the road, they are 6-1 overall. But overall, under Coach Mike McDonald for Seattle, they're 13-2. So the Panthers win this game against the Bucs. This will be their first division title in the NFC South in 11 years, since 2015 when it was Cam Newton at the helm as quarterback for the Carolina Panthers when they reached the Super Bowl. Interestingly, Tampa Bay wouldn't clinch its fifth straight division title with a victory. Like I said, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would need to get help on Sunday. They would have to root for the Saints to upset the Falcons in Atlanta to wrap up Week 18. But we'll get to those matchups in just a moment. So, the Bucs and Panthers are crawling into their matchup amidst recent struggles. The Seahawks and 49ers, however, they'll do with matching 6-game winning streaks on the line. Somebody's going to have their winning streak come to an end in that Seahawks and 49ers game tomorrow night on ABC and ESPN from Santa Clara. Both teams are running 6-game winning streaks. San Francisco has won 6 in a row, so too has Seattle. Which team is going to get the 1 seed? Which team will be the 5 seed as we head to the playoffs next week? Each will carry significant weight shaping up the 2025 NFL playoff field. Number 1, which Bryce Young is going to show up for Carolina? Bryce Young has made strides in each of his NFL seasons and has led his share of success in 2025. He has four four-quarter comebacks and 6-game winning drives. Young's calm in the face of pressure has been a welcome sight for the team that has been weighed down for years by poor QB play. But he has also yo-yoed back and forth in the past few weeks with good and bad performances, matching Carolina's win-loss pattern for the past eight games. Bryce Young was 21 of 32 passes for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Panthers win, 2 weeks ago against Tampa Bay and Carolina, where they won by 3. Facing a beat-up Buccaneers defense again could provide big play opportunities after struggling last week against Seattle when they lost by 17, 27-10. You have to look, you're not going to have Benjamin Morrison for Tampa Bay. Look for Young to try to hit Tedoroa McMillan and Jalen Coker on deep shots early to get them going, although it could be tougher if Rico Dowdle for Carolina is not able to go with his toe injury or if he's ineffective. Okay, so here's number 2, the storylines that we're talking about for Bucs and Panthers tomorrow afternoon on ABC. A banged-up Baker Mayfield must rediscover the magic for the Bucs. The Bucs offense seemingly has gotten healthier with the returns of wide receivers Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan and running back Bucky Irving, but Baker Mayfield's health might be turning the other direction. Baker Mayfield is listed with a right throwing shoulder injury after he had one in his left shoulder previous this year, adding to his list of ailments in a physically taxing year. It's reflected in his recent play, with an interception, including a game-ender at Carolina 2 weeks ago when they lost that game by 3, in past of the 4 games. Mike Evans has had moments in 3 games since returning, but Baker Mayfield's passer rating is 66.9 in 2025 when targeting Mike Evans, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, which is highlighting the poor connection they've had. Another worry is the availability of Tristan Wirfs and Benjamin Chamua, which took his place last week against the Dolphins, and he struggled last week. He allowed 2 sacks, and the Bucks have only scored 20 points or fewer in 5 of his past 6 games since Week 12. Only having only done so twice from weeks 1 to 11. If the Bucks are going to win this game, they'll need to play better from an offensive standpoint. And I'm going to say this again. If I'm a Buccaneers fan, I'm going to say this again. Tampa Bay has to be able to get out to a hot start. They haven't been able to get out to hot starts. I saw them last week against Miami. They got to such a bad start, and they couldn't recover from it. And it's too little too late. Now, when everything's on the line for you, you need to step up. And I think Baker Mayfield needs to step up, and he's owned it. He's owned it after every loss so far, and I love that from him. And I think Todd Bowles needs to light a fire in these guys and start keeping them accountable if they want to win the division for the 5th straight year. I'm a Bucs fan, so I want these guys to win, but at the same time, I want them playing well going into the playoffs if they make it. But they have to take care of business first. Before we get there, we need to take care of business against Carolina and hope New Orleans finds a way to upset Atlanta in Atlanta with Kirk Cousins under the helm as quarterback. Now, let's go to the game between San Francisco and Seattle tomorrow night. Here we go. I want to show you guys one thing, though. If there's one thing I would tell you about the Seahawks and 49ers matchup tomorrow night on ABC after Bucks and Panthers, I'll say it one more time. The Seahawks and 49ers game tomorrow night is going to be for the 1 seed in the NFC. The winner gets the 1 seed and the bye. That's huge. If you don't win this game against either Seattle or San Francisco, you'll be the 5 seed starting on the road when the playoffs begin next week. So you would rather get the 1 seed, have the first round bye, don't play to the divisional round. You have you have home field advantage throughout in the NFC. You don't have to go on the road until the Super Bowl in Santa Clara. So you'll get home games to get yourself ready. If you're San Francisco, you need this win. You need to be the 1 seed so then you can rest, after you guys have been decimated with injuries all year long. And like I said, this NFL season has been wild. It's been chaos. And I'm telling you, tomorrow, there's going to be chaos. There'll be chaos tomorrow. If the Bucs win tomorrow, all they got to do is hope the Saints win on Sunday against the Falcons, and they win the division for the 5th straight year. Tampa Bay, I'm telling you, if the Bucs can just take care of business against Carolina, fix the mistakes on offense with Baker Mayfield, get the run game going with Bucky Irvin and Rachaad White, and the offensive line just needs to protect Baker Mayfield, give him time to throw. And I'm Josh Grizzard. I'm throwing everything at Carolina tomorrow. I'm throwing everything at these guys because this is playoff football. It's win or go home for Tampa Bay. If you lose, you're done. Like I said, if the Bucs lose tomorrow against Carolina on ABC and ESPN, they're done. Carolina, if they win the division outright. They don't have to worry about being in those tie-breaking scenarios, which I'll explain as well. Here is a scenario for Carolina. They win against the Bucs tomorrow afternoon. They win the division. If Tampa Bay wins, they win clinch the division, but they would have to have New Orleans beat Atlanta. Now, if Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Atlanta have the same record, I'll explain it this way. Tampa Bay and Carolina and Atlanta have the same record at 8-9. Carolina would actually have the division due to common opponent tiebreakers in the NFC. That would give Carolina a 3-1 edge over both Atlanta and Tampa Bay, because they would have swept Tampa Bay and they would have swept Atlanta. Their only loss would be to Atlanta in Atlanta earlier this year, but they would have the tiebreaker. Now, if Carolina and Tampa Bay have the same record, Tampa Bay would have the tiebreaker because of common opponent in the NFC. Now, let's talk about Seattle and San Francisco for just a moment, for a moment or two, guys, that you're listening to the Sports Report Express. All right. So, like I said, the two most storylines in this game for Seattle and San Francisco is simply this. Sam Darnold must play more efficiently versus a 49ers defense that is battered and injured and hurt right now. Sam Darnold answered some of his critics in Week 16 with his late heroics against the Rams, which helped flip the divisional hierarchy and set up this winner-take-all game in Santa Clara. But last week's win against Carolina, Darnold had a fumble loss and an interception. He was lucky to not have multiple picks as well, but Seattle has lived dangerously with 28 turnovers this season. Sam Darnold has been responsible for those turnovers. He's had 20 of them, 14 interceptions, and 6 fumbles, with more turnovers 10 than touchdowns accounted for, which is 8 since Week 11. He's also been at the wheel of 27 victories in the past 2 seasons, so Sam Darnold's doing something right. If he can harness his playmaking ability while limiting turnovers, the Seahawks could be in great shape. The 49ers pass rush has struggled, though. That's going to be the key tomorrow, with only 18 sacks, 8 fewer than the next lowest team, which means intermediate targets for the Seahawks' talented wide receiver and deep shots for Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, especially on play action from the Seahawks running game, although the status of Rashid Shaheed is unclear for this game tomorrow. And like I said, Carolina and Tampa Bay are battling for the NFC South. Seattle and San Francisco are battling for the 1 seed in the NFC, with the winner getting the 1 seed and the bye. The loser is going to be the 5 seed in the wild card as the playoffs start next week. Now, let's go to other storylines from San Francisco and Seattle. A red-hot Brock Purdy hosts a stingy Seahawks defense. There have been fewer hotter quarterbacks down the stretch than 49ers QB Brock Purdy, who has accounted for 5 touchdowns in each of his past 2 games, leading the teams to 48 and 42-point outings. The Seahawks, on the flip side of this equation, are second best scoring defense in the NFL, only allowing 18.1 points per game, with only 2 opponents able to top 24-point marks against them this year. Purdy has leaned in on Christian McCaffrey run CMC down the stretch. The all-pro back is leading the team in rushing and receiving. The 49ers hope to get tight end George Kittle back from injury, although there's other injury concerns. Christian McCaffrey missed practice this week, as also Kyle Juszczyk did too, and Trent Williams also could miss this game, and they could rest him for the playoffs, which could be a big loss in this game, in a meaningful game. Seattle is a bit banged up on defense also. They allowed that unit to rebound. They rebounded at Carolina last week, holding the Panthers to 139 yards last week and 2 turnovers. Now, let's go to other matchups with big playoff implications. Let's go to Houston. The Texans and the Colts on Sunday at 1 o'clock on CBS. Let's go to other CBS games this week. Browns and Bengals at 1. Packers and Vikings at 1 o'clock on CBS. And then we have all the other 425 matchups. Like I said, the Texans game and the Colts game are going to be a big game because the winner between the Colts and the Texans, the winner has the inside track of the AFC South, depending upon if Jacksonville stumbles against Tennessee. If Jacksonville wins the AFC South. If Houston wins and Jacksonville loses, then Houston will get the AFC South crown. Chicago and Detroit. Here are your late games with playoff implications. Denver, if they win, they get the 1 seed in the AFC and the first round bye, and they have home field throughout the playoffs in the AFC on the road to Santa Clara. If New England wins against Miami and Denver loses, then New England will be the 1 seed in the AFC, and they would get the home field throughout the playoffs, and they would start, the wild card round with a bye and don't have to play until the divisional round. Like I said, guys, this Week 18 season has been wild. And the last game of the regular season on Sunday Night Football, Baltimore against Pittsburgh. The winner of this game will win the AFC North. The loser is done. It's a winner-take-all game between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. The winner of this game will have the AFC North. The loser is done. And whoever loses this game, questions are going to be fuming, and it's going to be coming like rapid fire for either one of these teams that loses this game, either Baltimore or Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh loses this game, Mike Tomlin's going to have to answer so many questions of why the collapse, why DK Metcalf got suspended. Those are sort of questions you don't want to have answered when you lose a game like this, and it's a winner take all for the first time. So, like I said, a lot of questions in this game could be too. Is this Aaron Rodgers' final game with Pittsburgh? Is this going to affect John Harbaugh if he loses this game for Baltimore? Is he done as coach as well? What's the ramifications for that? So like I said, Sunday Night Football on NBC finale, Baltimore at Pittsburgh, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark. They'll have the game for you at Pittsburgh. Football Night America will start at 7 o'clock. They'll give you a rundown of the playoff picture. In the AFC and NFC, like I said, this is going to be the wildest weekend of football I have seen in my years as a sports fan and as an analyst and as a soon to be as a unified reporter. This is the wildest weekend I've ever seen. It's gonna be wild, guys. So I want you to enjoy this weekend because this is gonna be buckle up, get your jetpack on, because this NFL season is about to go haywire this weekend. Like I said, with so many games, with so many implications on the line. And I'll run them down for you guys one more time. Buccaneers and Panthers tomorrow at 4:30 on ABC and ESPN, followed by Seahawks and 49ers at 8 on ESPN and ABC. I will be at the Buccaneers-Panthers game tomorrow afternoon to see my boys get a win in a must-win situation. They need to win or else they're done. Carolina has control of their own playoff destiny in the NFC South. They win, they're in. They lose, they would have to hope Atlanta finds a way to beat New Orleans, and they would still get the NFC South crown by default. So, and also, which Baker Mayfield are we going to get tomorrow? Are we going to get the Baker Mayfield that started 5-1, was in MVP conversation, or are we going to get the Baker Mayfield that we've had for the last 8 games where he struggled and he's thrown interceptions at costly moments when his team needs to drive down the field for a game-time field goal or a go-ahead score? So if I'm either one of these teams, if I'm Coach Dave Canales, if I'm Coach Todd Bowles, I'm telling my quarterbacks tomorrow, you need to take care of the football and rely on your running game, because if you do not rely on your running game tomorrow in this game, in an NFC South clash for Carolina, if you lose this game, you could still win the division. But if Atlanta finds a way to lose to New Orleans, then Tampa Bay gets the division for the 5th year in a row. So I'm Todd Bowles. I'm wanting to fire these guys today and saying, hey, boys, we cannot get off to a slow start. And all starts, to me, with the offensive line for Baker Mayfield. They need to protect him tomorrow. They need to get after Bryce Young, make him uncomfortable. Get some pressure on Bryce Young, because in the game 2 weeks ago against Carolina, they did not get pressure on Bryce Young, and he allowed to throw those passes to his receivers. So to me, if I'm Todd Bowles, I am honing in on blitzing you're throwing everything. Your season is on the line. Your season is on the line if you're the Buccaneers. If you do not win this game, you're done. Your season's over if you do not win this game at home. There's no excuse this time. You don't have another game. You have to win this game at home in front of your home fans. You don't want Carolina to win the division on your home turf. And remember, a year ago when Carolina played at Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield threw 5 touchdown passes in the win last year. And it was a blowout. Carolina was so bad last year. But this year, Carolina's better this year. So Tampa Bay better not take these guys lightly. Because Carolina, I've seen Carolina this year. They've beaten the Rams. They lost Seattle last week. But like I said, we'll find out tomorrow what is Bryce Young made out of. Is he ready for this moment? Is he ready to lead this Carolina Panthers team to the playoffs? Or is it going to be another opportunity missed by Carolina because they did not get it done when it mattered most? Because you cannot alternate wins and losses and expect to be a playoff team. You have to be at your best when you're in the playoff mode. So, like I said, I'll run the matchups one more time. Buccaneers Panthers at 4:30 on ABC and ESPN. Chris Fowler, Dan Orlovsky, Louis Riddick, K. George, Peter Schrager. They'll be in Tampa. Second game of doubleheader, 49ers and Seahawks. Big time implications in both those games tomorrow. The NFC West will be decided tomorrow as well. The 49ers win, they get the 1 seed. The Seahawks win, they're the 1 seed. The loser of this game in Santa Clara will be the 5 seed. Like I said, that's a huge difference between you being the 1 seed and you dropping to the 5. Because if you're the 5 seed in the NFC, you have to start on the road. You're not going to get a home game. That's the tough part about it. And the NFC South, if you win the division, you get a home playoff game, but you're playing the second place team. You're playing the second place finisher in the NFC West. That could be Seattle. That could be San Francisco. It could be Seattle. You never know. But we'll find out, like I said, tomorrow. This is a big-time game for Tampa Bay. They don't win this one, like I said, your season's over. You're gonna be looking back at this season and be like, man, we started 5-1. Then we were 6-2. Baker Mayfield was in the MVP conversation when they were 5-1, when they were winning those games, those tight games when it mattered most. Now they're 1-7 in their last 8 games. What is happening? I know what's happening. They're not taking care of the football. They're not relying on their running game. They're not getting the run game going. They're not protecting Baker Mayfield. They're not doing enough to protect them. And I'm stressing this as a Buccaneer fan. Like, please, as a Buccaneers fan, please don't, give Todd Bowles another chance. Even if he loses this game, he's going to be gone either way. So it hasn't worked out, honestly. And the offensive line, the offense needs work. They let Liam Cohen go to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's been a surprise team in the AFC South this year. So who would have thought that? So, like I said, guys, I want to read these matches to you one more time. Carolina Tampa Bay first on ABC and ESPN at 4:30, followed by Seahawks and 49ers at 8. Now we go to Sunday. Here are the Sunday matchups. Indy at Houston on CBS. Dallas and the Giants on Fox. New Orleans and Atlanta on Fox at 1. Cleveland and Cincinnati at 1 on CBS, I should say. Tennessee and Jacksonville, that could decide the AFC South right there on Fox at 1 o'clock. Green Bay and Minnesota on CBS at 1 o'clock. Now we get to the 425 window, and there's a lot of games with playoff implications in the 425 window. Here they are. Chargers and Broncos. Patriots and Dolphins in New England at Foxborough. Jets and Bills from Orchard Park. This could be the last game for Buffalo unless they win a playoff game. They're probably not going to have a home playoff game at Highmark Stadium. It's their last season there. Next, let's go to Chicago, where the Bears can can clinch a playoff spot. They get a Bears seed with a win against the Lions. They lose, they're going to drop. The Rams and the Cardinals. The Rams have something to play for. The Rams probably going to be the 5 seed. They could drop as low as 6. We'll find out after the game tomorrow. And then Kansas City and the Raiders. Those 2 teams have nothing to play for, so that's not a playoff game. The Eagles are resting all their starters tomorrow. Jalen Hurts is not playing. Saquon Barkley's not going to play. So we'll see if that's going to affect them against the Commanders, which they beat them 2 weeks ago. And last but not least, to wrap up the 2025-2026 NFL season, game 272, Ravens and Steelers with the AFC North at stake. The winner gets the AFC North. The loser is done. Who's going to win? Pittsburgh or Baltimore? To me, I am taking Baltimore. I think Baltimore is not going to let John Harbaugh go out like this. And I think Baltimore is going to win. They're going to find a way. They're going to get the ball to Derrick Henry. They're going to get the ball to, they're going to have Lamar Jackson there tomorrow. So I think we're going to get this win. I'm going to go Ravens on the road to win the division. I think Pittsburgh is going home. I think this is going to be the last game that you're going to see Coach Mike Tomlin as coach for Pittsburgh. I think Coach Tomlin has done a phenomenal job with Pittsburgh, but I think Pittsburgh needs to go in a different direction. They need a different voice, and I think Pittsburgh fans are going to be so tired of of mediocre going to the playoffs and being a one and done team. Pittsburgh, they've made the playoffs, but they've been mediocre at best. So if that's what Pittsburgh fans want, you're going to get mediocre every year because the AFC North is so tough. I haven't even talked about Cincinnati. Look at what happened to them this year with Joe Burrow. They would have been a playoff team too. There's so many teams that you never expected to be in the playoffs, but I'll tell you, and like I said, I'm going to show you. I'll show you guys this too as well. We look at the standings. I want to be clear about this as well, and I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys the playoff picture as we embark on Week 18. So, before I wrap up today, I'm going to show you guys the playoff picture in the playoffs. If the playoffs were to begin today, but it doesn't. So, I will show you guys the playoff picture before I wrap up this episode today, the first one of the year. Okay, so if the playoffs were to start today, which they don't, I will tell you the teams that are in and the teams that are out. All right, so the playoffs were to start today. Here are your matchups. All right, here are the playoff pictures in the NFC. I'll start with the AFC first. Let's go AFC first. Broncos, the 1 seed. The Patriots, the 2. The Jaguars, the 3. The Ravens, the 4. The Texans, the 5 seed. The Bills are the 6. And the Chargers are the 7 seed. The Steelers are the outside looking in. Like I said, Week 18, Ravens and Steelers with the AFC North at stake. The winner wins the North. The loser is going home. Now let's go to the NFC. Right now, the 1 seed would be the 49ers, followed by the Bears, the Eagles, the Panthers, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Packers, and last but not least, Tampa Bay is hanging on by a thread. And so, here would the matchups be for. So the Bears would play the Packers, the 2 versus the 7. The 3 would get the 6 seed. The Eagles would play the Rams right now. And the Seahawks would play the Panthers if the playoffs were to end today in the NFC. Now let's look at with the Niners with the 1 seed right now in the NFC. They would get the first round bye, and they will play it in the divisional round. Now let's head over to the AFC real fast. Broncos would be the 1 seed in the AFC with the bye. New England followed by Jacksonville, Baltimore, Houston, Buffalo, and LA. And the Steelers are on the outside looking in. So if the playoffs were to start today, here are your playoff matchups that would be today, if they did start today. The Patriots would play the Chargers. The Jaguars would play the Chargers in the wild card round. And then the Texans would play the Ravens with the Broncos as the 1 seed. That's your matchups. That's your Week 18. That's your Week 18 preview. Like I said, buckle up, everybody. Fasten your seatbelts. This Week 18 NFL season, this Week 18 slate of games is going to be chaos. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it today. Hope you guys came out with something. And I also want to share this with you guys before I go as well. The word of the year that King Jesus presented to me in my heart is blessings. That means that blessings are going to be bestowed on me and just open doors. I'm just praying for blessings this year, whatever those may be. That's what I've been praying for. That's what I've been seeking. I've been in His Word. I've been intentional. So blessings is the word of the year for me. And with that, I'm going to wrap up today. Thank you guys for tuning into the first episode of Sports Report Express for 2026. I'm Sportscaster 89. I hope you all have a safe and blessed and God-filled weekend. We'll be back on Monday to give you the playoff, the 2025 NFL playoffs schedule. So with that, I'm Sportscaster 89. Remember, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Sportscaster2025. You can follow me on TikTok as well. I post videos every single week with Sports Report Express, and I also do some worship sessions on there as well. Check it out. I also have a YouTube channel which is Sportscaster89 spelled out. It's SPORTSCASTER and then 89 spelled out EIGHTYNINE. Sportscaster 89 spelled out. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, follow me on YouTube. I do my Sports Report Express every single week. I'll do one for you guys on Monday. With that, I will give you guys all the scores and highlights. We'll run down the NFL draft order as well on Monday. So with that, have a God-filled weekend. Be safe out there this weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow in Tampa. I'll give you guys a preview of this matchup one more time. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in Tampa. Go Bucks. Let's get this win. Let's get this dub. Let's get into the playoffs. Let's end this season on a positive note, regardless of the outcome. Sportscaster 89, wishing you all a God-filled weekend. Take care.